Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I am the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today I'm going to take you through kind of this vintage Christmas design. Now I am really into vintage Christmas this year. I was last year too, but like even more so this year. I think it's going to be really trendy for Christmas decor in 2021. So I'm very excited to bring you this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. You're going to find all the products that you see in this video listed and linked down below in the description box. You might even find some discount codes for you there as well. So that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, you guys, so this cup features a full Waterslide wrap. I'm going to show you how I put that together with the printing of the Waterslide first. So I'm in Google Docs here. We're going to first go to File, Page Setup. We're going to set our page to landscape mode. Then we're going to select A4 and change all the margins to 0. All right, and now we're ready to add the image to our page here. You could be doing the same thing in Microsoft Word if you wanted to. I just like to use Google Docs. We're going to go to Insert Image, and then I have the image already saved to the desktop on my computer. This is from Etsy. I'll have it linked down below. And this file is really just an 8x5 JPEG picture. It's just supposed to be a page of these like little stamps, okay? And I thought it was really cute, but it doesn't quite fit for a Waterslide. So I'm going to crop it a little bit so that I have about maybe a 1/4 inch or so on all sides, except for this side right here to the right. That I'm going to crop right up against the edge of those images. Okay, and we're going to get the bottom there as well. That's going to allow me to make this a little bit bigger. We want to print this Waterslide edge to edge. But I also want the spacing between this image and the next image that I'm going to place right next to it to be about the same as the space of those images on the page itself, if that makes sense. I'm going to copy and paste the same image. Okay, so here's my second version. But before that, I want to change the page breaks on this to the second option there so that I can move it anywhere I want on the page, and I can also put something right up against it. You also want those margins to be set to 0 instead of 1/8 of an inch. All right. After you do that, you're going to kind of lose your image. It's okay. Just scroll down. Your image is just off the page. So there it is. We're going to change the break margins or whatever those are called settings to the same thing on this second image here. Okay. And then we're just going to align them right up next to each other so that we fill up the page with all these cute little stamps. Okay, you might need to crop this second image as well so it's not just hanging off the page there. And that's about it. So what we should be left with is a full page of all these little vintage stamp designs. I think this is so cute. So don't forget, when you go to print these, you want to optimize your print settings so that they print with really good color. So what I do for that is when we get to the print screen, you want to check on a few things. So number one, you want to make sure that you have the right page size selected on this print screen. A lot of people tell me, Jessica, I switched the margins to 0, but it's still not printing the full sheet. It's usually because we didn't click down to more settings and then change the page size here as well to A4. Okay, so we still have to do that. Then I'm going to scroll all the way down to print using system requirements. And we're going to go to Preferences, Photo Printing. For the paper, I just put Leicester. A4 size here as well, and then the print standard will be high. Then we just press OK, apply, and print. Okay, and that should give us a really nice, beautiful print. Your print settings might be a little bit different depending on what you've got. Then I'm just going to seal my water slide using Rustoleum's clear gloss spray paint. I have it on a clipboard here, and using a crosshatch pattern, I'm going to seal this like 4 or 5 times. I usually say seal it 3 times, but for these full page ones, go ahead and seal it 4 times. You want to do very light, even coats. You don't want to have any pooling or drips. And you really want to let these coats dry in between coats. And you can use a space heater to speed that process up, or even a blow dryer, okay? And then as soon as all those coats are dry, we're ready to apply it to our cup. All right, and now we're ready to put the water slide onto our cup. I'm working with a fully prepped and sanded cup that I've already spray painted with a flat white spray paint, and then I did a coat of glossy clear spray paint over that. We want our cup to be glossy when we put the water slide on, because anytime we're putting clear water slide onto a surface, we want it to be shiny. Otherwise, it'll look kind of weird underneath, okay? I'm also working with a 20-ounce skinny straight, so there's no taper or curves, which is ideal for this type of application. And I want to start by kind of doing a dry wrap first so I can get a feel for how things are going to be placed. Then we're going to dunk our water slide into this is just a big dish of room temp water. You don't want it too hot or too cold. And we're going to keep it in there until it lifts off the backing paper and can slide around freely. And then when we go to put it onto the cup, we just want to first anchor one edge of it onto the cup using our silicone makeup brush, and then slowly just kind of apply it on, smoothing out all the wrinkles and things with the silicone brush. The goal here is to keep that water slide on the paper backing for as long as possible, while also keeping the surface of the cup moist and the surface of the water slide wet all at once, okay? We want to keep everything really wet during this application, and we want to avoid any kind of stretching or pulling or smoothing things out with our hands. We really want to utilize that silicone brush to smooth everything out. And don't worry too much about the top and the bottom for this one, because we're going to be covering it with glitter later. For the back seam here, I noticed that my pattern definitely didn't match up, but not a big deal. I just kind of made it match up a little bit. Like the pictures sort of went together, but not really. But whatever, it looked good enough. And then I just trimmed off the excess with a pair of scissors. And again, tried to line up those boxes as well as I could, okay? Once I got that done, I just went around the cup again with my silicone brush, making sure that all the bubbles were out, try to get all those wrinkles out, okay? And once everything looked nice, I just set this on my rack to dry for about 30 minutes or so before we moved on to the next step. All right, and so next we're going to be adding our glitter. And yes, we can just go right over this water slide to apply our glitter. As long as it's pretty dry, we're good to go. I'm going to be using Alumilite's Amazing Sealer. That's kind of like their version of Mod Podge. I'm going to get nice smooth coverage around my bottom rim here. I'm using my Mod Podge brush to do that. But then when we move on to the sides of our cup, I'm going to be using a chip brush. The look that I'm going for here is like vintage ornament, hand glittered kind of vibe, okay? So we don't want like perfect glitter application. I want to see brush strokes through the glitter, almost like icicles in a way. I don't know. If you've ever looked at like really pretty like hand glittered vintage ornaments, how they have that like, I don't know, cascading like icicle glitter, whatever. Anyway, in my mind, that's what we're doing here. You tell me how it looks, but I think it's really cute. So basically what I'm doing is I'm dry brushing that sealer or adhesive onto my cup from the top rim and just only going about 2 to 3 inches down with my chip brush. I can kind of see what I'm doing here. I only want to go in one direction because I'm looking for those brush strokes. You're going to see what I mean here after I get the glitter on. We're not glittering the whole thing. We're just glittering the top and bottom with these kind of like icicle cascading glittered sections. You'll see. It sounds silly. All right, so anyway, once we get it all glued, or like we got our adhesive applied there, we're just going to apply our glitter. I still want to be a little bit conservative when I'm applying my glitter, similar to how I would do like a double-edged ombre. Okay, we don't want to like fully let it rip. The glitter that I'm using today is Bradshaw from Peachy Olive Glitters. I think it totally goes with this like vintage pink Christmas vibe that we have going on here. And so again, I'm really lightly tapping. I don't want to really dump the glitter on because I want to kind of maintain a little bit of that fade, but also still revealing the brush strokes that we created earlier with our adhesive. And once I got my glitter applied, I'm just going to use a pair of scissors to aggressively tap off all that excess glitter. All right, and also I'm going to get like a clean chip brush and I'm going to brush off all the excess glitter from the center, also brushing right into the glitter and adhesive that we just created to kind of further accentuate that brush stroke look. Okay, it's gonna feel a little weird brushing into wet glitter glue. You don't want to brush too hard, just very lightly right at the edge of those brush strokes like you see here. Okay, and if you brush a little too hard and remove some of the glitter and like mess it up a bit, no big deal, just pour a little more on in that section. Okay, and we should end up with something that looks like this. And you want to let that dry for about 2 to 3 hours and then brush off all that excess glitter again. And then I am going to spray seal this pretty well with Rustoleum 2x clear gloss spray paint just to make sure that all that glitter stays in place. That clear gloss spray paint is going to take about 20 minutes or so to dry. And then I'm ready for my first coat of epoxy. I've got 30 milliliters of mixed epoxy here. And we're just going to go ahead and apply that coat like we normally would. I'm going to let this dry for about 8 to 12 hours before we move on to the next step. All right, so we put a layer of epoxy over this and here's what we have so far. I just love the brush stroke kind of look that we're getting from the technique we used to apply our glitter over the water slide. And our next step is to do some sanding around the rim. We're going to expose a fine line of stainless steel, which will later be what our final coats of epoxy will adhere to create the final seal for our tumbler. So I've got an 80 grit sanding block here, and I'm gonna sand at a 45-degree angle with the corner of my sanding block against the rim of the cup here. All right, and then once we're done sanding, I'm just going to rinse this off with some rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. All right, so keep in mind, like I'm only doing this top rim sanding now because it's going to be really easy for me to expose that fine line of stainless steel because we only have one coat of epoxy on this tumbler so far. I'm not going to sand the bottom rim until I get to my second coat of epoxy because I don't want to risk sanding off some of this glitter down here along the bottom rim. Okay, so just keep that in mind. After we do another coat of epoxy on here, we're probably going to want to sand the bottom of this as well. All right, and now we're ready to apply our decal. I've already cut and layered my vinyl here. I will link this SVG down below in the description box, and I just created the offset for it in Cricut Design Space using the new offset feature. I'm going to apply my decal using the hinge method like I always do. And then once we're all done with that, I was ready to move on to our final coats of epoxy. This is actually a pretty simple design. So cute though. For my final coat, I've got 20 milliliters of epoxy that I'm just gonna apply like I normally would. And then I'm doing my back-to-back epoxy coat. I forgot to tell you though that after this coat that you see me applying here, I let it dry for about 8 to 12 hours, and then I did sand the bottom rim. Then I cleaned my cup really well with some dish soap and water, dried it off with some paper towels, went over it with a tack cloth to make sure I got all the lint and debris off, and then I applied what was my actual final coat over that, okay? All right, you guys, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you liked my video, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. And a big thank you to all of our Flynn Sisters exclusive members. Thank you for your pledge. Your support means the world to our channel. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.